In this week's conference track in a nutshell, I want to talk about cleaning up attendance logs. Assuming you've made it this far, congratulations. At this point, you've probably just finished up your conference, and since you're watching this video instead of conducting a witch hunt on me, the conference probably went well. Give yourself a nice pat on the back, you did it. The hard part's over, but now we need to make sure everything looks right. The post-conference cleanup is deceptively one of the most important steps of utilizing Conference Tracker. It entails looking through the attendance logs and making sure they're all valid. Mistakes happen during scanning, so we want to make sure to get rid of them. Without doing this cleanup process, you might find that you're getting a bunch of angry phone calls and emails from attendees who didn't get the credit they deserved. Let's click on View Edit Logs to get started. On this page, you'll be able to see every instance of who has been signed in or out and at what time. Every time an attendee gets scanned, an attendance log is created for them, and you'll see that here. If an attendee is scanned multiple times into a session, whether that be an in or an out, it'll be presented as in one log, but each log can contain several instances of swipes. We actually have two types of logs, valid logs and invalid logs. You'll see them as one of these two icons. A green checkmark is a valid log, and a yellow yield icon is an invalid log. We really only want valid logs. If an attendee has an invalid log, they would not receive credit for whatever session that log is for. So, we always want to make sure that every attendee gets the credit they deserve. As far as invalid logs go, there are four types: not signed in, not signed out, duration less than minimum, and just invalid. You can filter by these logs using the Filter Logs button over here. The first type of invalid log is not signed in. These logs usually occur because an attendee was signed out of a session, but was never signed into it. Let's look at Hillary over here. You'll see that Hillary was signed out of dinosaur wrangling at 9:03 a.m., but she doesn't have a sign in. To fix this, we just need to give her an in swipe at the time the event started. Dinosaur wrangling begins at 8, so we're going to give her an in swipe at 8, like so. Make sure to click the Add button. And that's it. These are easy to fix. The same goes for the next set of logs. Not signed out. For these logs, we gotta scan in for the attendee, but not an out. Usually, this will only happen if the session is set to require signouts, so you shouldn't have anything here if you're only doing sign-ins. In any case, let's take a look at Jim Boy over here. He was signed into dinosaur wrangling at 8 a.m., but never got signed out. All we have to do is give him a sign out like so. The next set of logs is a little trickier. If you have a required presence percentage set on your sessions, then you might find a few logs here. Basically, anyone that didn't stay in the session long enough to meet that percentage will be here. For example, let's take a look at Fred. Dinosaur wrangling starts at 8 and ends at 9, with a required presence percentage of 75%. That means they have to be there for at least 45 minutes to get the credit. Fred was late and signed in at 8:30 but left at 8:59, meaning he only stayed there for 29 minutes. It's up to your discretion as the conference organizer whether or not you want to give Fred the credit or let the log stay invalid. If you want to give Fred the credit, all you need to do is lower the in time or increase the out time so that he meets the required presence percentage. Let's just leave it as it is for now. Let's take a look at Christopher Columbus. He's expecting to find some dinosaurs in the New World, so he's attending dinosaur wrangling. What's this? He signed in at 3:27 p.m. and out at 3:29 p.m. That's not right. That's outside the scope of the class. You'll probably encounter this situation if someone attended a class but didn't get scanned in, so they hunted you down and complained to you until you scanned them. You intended to give them the credit for the class, but our system won't count them as receiving credit unless they were signed in at the correct time. So, all you have to do is change these times to match the session time. If the log cannot be categorized into any of the other 3 types of invalid logs, then they just get shuffled into invalid logs. Usually, the only problem in these is that there are multiple sign-ins or outs without a corresponding in or out to match them. Let's look at a little old me. Looks like I messed up somewhere along the way and got scanned in twice. All you have to do to fix this is to remove one of the ins, or if you see 2 outs, then remove one of the outs. Which one you remove is up to your discretion, but I usually remove the one that would give the attendee the most time. Anyway, that's a quick rundown on how to manually fix these invalid logs. Hope that wasn't too confusing. And another thing you might want to take a look at is this option over here, Fix Swipes. You'll see this section that says Swipes with Unknown Attendee. Sometimes, if you get an on-site registration and the operator who scanned them didn't sync their device, the device won't know who to create a log for, but our website will. In these cases, you'll get an Unknown Attendee error, which you can resolve here. You can search up the attendee this card number belongs to here. Typically, our system will have already chosen the correct attendee, and you'll see a button here instead that'll say, Use so-and-so as the correct attendee. Just click on that or search up the attendee here and their log can be categorized properly. The last thing I'm going to show you is here, Fix Logs. This section will allow you to fix multiple logs at once. Honestly, this feature is very situational, so it's usually better to go through your logs manually. What this feature does is mass edits existing logs for a certain session, so you can't use this to create logs. Let's say every single attendee for dinosaur wrangling didn't get signed in. You can use this option, create swipe at the beginning of the session, choose dinosaur wrangling here, and then set the status to not signed in. This will give a swipe in for all logs that are not signed in for dinosaur wrangling. You have a few other options you can do here as well, and you can even combine them if you want. But honestly, like I said, this is very situational, so you probably won't be using this much at all. Anyway, that's all I got for fixing logs. After you're done here, you're ready to send out your transcripts and certificates. So, you can find that video in the description or in the conference tracker in a nutshell playlist. And as always, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me at conftrack@engineerica.com, and I'll answer, as long as I haven't collapsed from sleep deprivation. Have a good one.